Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we will be talking about organizational structure. Understand that fundamentally there are four different organizational structures that exists. Now, in many books, publications, you will see that they talk about 5, 7, 10 different type of organizational structures, which might be very much possible depending upon the need of the organization. They can mix and match, they can define a unique type of organizational structure based on their particular needs. But theoretically speaking, and coming from the point of view of reporting hierarchies, there are four fundamental types, which I have mentioned here: functional, projectized, matrix, or flat. Now, like I said, depending upon the organization needs, you can create your own new structure and call it as something something, but ultimately it will be a permutation combination of these four only. Now, talking about functional structure is a structure where all the resources, workforce, in other words, is divided based on their speciality, their skill set, and it's like a department setup. Like you will have a sales department, marketing, procurement, quality, training, HR, IT, finance, and so on and so forth. So every department has its own set of responsibilities that they have to fulfill, and for that they have all the required capabilities, skills, resources that they need. In this type of organizational structure, there isn't really a formal project manager position, and neither there is a designated project team whenever they have to work on a project. They just distribute the tasks amongst the departments, and there might be someone who can act like a coordinator to just coordinate with different departments in terms of how the project tasks are progressing, but there is no emphasis on proper formal project management as such. Maybe some examples here that we can look at: certain uh, core manufacturing organizations who are only and only into manufacturing a certain type of product, and they do not really do a lot of projects, or like they do once in a blue moon sort of a project. Then of course they would not really invest in this kind of capability and discipline. Coming to projectized, this is an organization structure which has different project teams, and each project team is, of course, headed by a project manager. So, there is, of course, a formal project manager and a proper designated project team, which is there to deliver different projects. So essentially this type of organizational structure is more appropriate for organizations which are doing lots and lots of projects day in day out, and that's what their bread and butter is. So maybe, for example, a construction company, they are doing 10 different projects at a time, and they have dedicated project teams and project managers for each project. Or maybe a consulting firm who's working on multiple projects for different clients. Now, of course, in this type of organization, the emphasis or the importance given to the project management as a profession, as a skill, is very high. But there's a downside, that once the project is over, the team has a sense of insecurity, because until and unless they don't get assigned to another project which is not certain, they will always have that sense of insecurity, because if they don't get assigned, they will not be there for very long in the organization. Moving on to matrix. Now, matrix structure represents a structure where you will see functions headed by functional managers, just like departments or functional structure. And parallelly, we have project managers heading the projects. So now in this type of organizational structure, we can see that project managers and functional managers are coexisting. However, when it comes to team members usually have a dual reporting structure with both functional manager and project manager. Now, this dual reporting creates a challenge. What challenge? The loyalty. Team members are usually found to be more loyal to the functional managers because they know ultimately projects are temporary in nature, and sooner or later the project will finish and then they will be shifted back to the function. So they see this like as if the function is the home, and it is actually their home. So they will usually be more loyal to the functional manager, which many a times it has been observed that it leads to um, some performance issues, or they are not committed to the project or project work as much as they should be. And second challenge that we generally see here is communication. It gets really complicated because we have to now coordinate between two bosses and one team member. So there is a lot of to and fro, there is a lot of finger pointing, or there is this confusion can be there in terms of who's to give the orders and from whom to take the orders. So that kind of scenario is very commonly observed in such structures. But other than this, it's a very good structure in terms of the advantages, because unlike functional where there was no recognition of project managers, we at least see project managers in this structure. And on the other hand, unlike projectize where there were no departments or no functional managers, we again have functional managers and departments in this structure. So in that way, it sort of takes the best of both worlds and tries to create a hybrid kind of a structure, but it has its own cons. Coming to flat, now flat is a structure where there are no as such reporting hierarchies. There are no reporting managers, no reporting lines. Instead, everyone is accountable for their own area. They have their defined roles and responsibilities, and they all carry out their work independently, but yet as a collaborative unit. However, there are no as such reporting managers or project managers or functional managers. You can say everyone is just reporting to one um, founder or CEO on the top, and other than that, there are no as such reporting relationships. So, usually, you will see startups or organizations with small headcount, they are more likely to follow this type of structure. But as the organization grows and the workforce um, expands, the number of people increases, then most likely they will need some sort of reporting hierarchies, and then the organization may decide to transform into one of the other structures that we have spoken about. I hope this clarifies the different type of organizational structures. That's all for today's video. We'll see you next time. Bye.